What's up, Totem Pole Nation? Welcome back to Lambo and Matt's World of Sports. Today we are getting into the preview of the NBA playoffs. Tomorrow are the elimination games in the play-in tournament. We'll see who the 8 seeds are. We're going to get into our predictions on that, predictions on the first round and beyond. We'll get some player analysis, all just a bunch of stuff that we've looked at from stats and watched on TV. So we'll get into all of that and more. But first, make sure to visit TotemPoleNation.com for some gear, support the boys. Visit our socials, which are scrolling if you want to reach out about a topic you want us to talk about, or if you just want to drop a follow. Shout out to Sideline Sports Network, as always. Let's get into this right now.
What's up, AB Bros? All right. NBA playoffs, we're finally here. Oh, my Lord. The regular season will have some stories. The regular season was kind of boring. Nobody watches 82 games of NBA basketball. We was watching March Madness. We was watching women's basketball. Exciting. But this gets more and more exciting. Now, tomorrow, don't waste your time watching the Heat and the Bulls game. Both of these teams are just not as good. They've been injury prone, especially the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler getting hurt, Tyler Hero being hurt, Kevin Love being hurt, Duncan Robinson being hurt. I mean, they're basically the whole core has been hurt. And the Bulls, they're just barely getting by, right? I'm a Celtics fan. Obviously, I want them to play the Bulls. Playing against the Heat, if they win without Jimmy Butler, I mean, that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. Even if Jimmy Butler doesn't play maybe the first 2 games of the series, if that happens to be Boston versus the Heat are still a tough team when it comes to the Celtics. You've seen the history in the past. Last year, we were down 3-0, and then we almost came back, but that just wasn't the case. Now, in the West, whoever wins between the Kings and the Pelicans plays OKC. Are y'all surprised that OKC is the number 1 seed? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander averaging 30 points a game. Possible. He's already in MVP conversation, but he might win it. He might not. We don't have the analysts on who's going to win the MVP. That's going to be later down the road. The Denver Nuggets had a chance, but they blew it. The second game, I think it was the second or third game before the finale, they just blew it. And at one point in the series, it was at one point in the season, a couple weeks back or a week back, it was a 3-way tie for first place. Minnesota, OKC, and Denver. So the Western Conference, I mean, it could have went either way. Now, I'm going to make a prediction here. The Boston Celtics will play the Bulls on Sunday, and the OKC Thunder will play the Sacramento Kings. What are your thoughts before we get into the other matchups?
Yeah, I'm with you on the Kings pick. I do think that they're going to beat the Pelicans, especially if the Pelicans don't have Zion. We saw the difference in even the Lakers game. They were in it until Zion had to go to the bench, right? So he's obviously the biggest game changer on that team. If he doesn't play or if he's not 100%, I don't think that they're better than the Kings, especially. I mean, the Kings are fast-paced. They can score on all 3 levels. They shoot free throws well. They're just a better team if Zion is not on the floor for the Pelicans or at 100%. So I'm with you there. I think, though, the Bulls just suck, dude. Like, I don't think I can pick them, even if Jimmy doesn't play, which I'm pretty sure he's already ruled out. Now, Tyler Hero can't have the shooting night, that we saw last night. He can't do that, but that's not, an every night thing for him. He doesn't go out there and just lay eggs like he did. So I'm not expecting that to continue from him. Obviously, the role players on the Heat played well. Like they had every opportunity to win that game against the Sixers, and they just didn't. And that's how it is. It was a close game. No Jimmy. Yeah, the team gets worse, but I don't think they dropped to the level of the Bulls. DeMar is great, but at this point in his career, he's not something that like you go into the game and you're scared about playing. I trust the Heat's depth over the Bulls. Kobe White, amazing season, but it's just not much of a competition to me. It's going to be a good game. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but when it comes to who I would pick, it's not much of a competition in my head about which team I feel better about.
All right. So before we get those, the number one seeds will be the final thing we talk about. But there's already playoff matches that have been set. New York versus Philadelphia. Oh, well, the Knicks without Julius Randle, shoulder surgery, out for the season. But Jalen Brunson has been playing. Boy, Jalen Brunson's been balling. Now, Joel Embiid is back. I'm just concerned about the re-injury of Joel Embiid. He already retweaked his knee, I think, last Sunday when he came back. And then what type of Philly team are we going to get? I mean, due to the key losses they had with Patrick Beverley and injuries going on, I know Tyrese Maxey has stepped up, but this could go either way. No Julius Randle for the New York Knicks, and then Joel Embiid, if he wasn't injured, he probably was on the road to, getting that MVP because Joel Embiid was just dominating. I feel like this is going to be a very long series. This could go 6 games. This can go 7 games. This just depends on how hard can Jalen Brunson carry his team, and are the other pieces of the New York Knicks, like the role players from the bench, can they contribute? Can it not just be, Jalen Brunson just carrying the load? Now, I understand they got Dante and Josh Hart and all the other stuff, but at the end of the day, everybody from New York, they got to come together, right? No Julius Randle is going to be tough. He's a great dude. Philadelphia, we know about Joel Embiid. The only question is, can he stay healthy? He's playing on Team USA as well. So we'll talk about that in the next episode. But I feel like this will be evenly matched. I'm more comfortable with Philly. So give me Philly in 7. I'm just more New York, Jalen Brunson. If it was Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, maybe can go either way. It can still go either way. I'm just not confident in the New York role players, but I'm confident in Embiid and Maxey and Nick Nurse, who's already known to win championships in the G League, has already won a championship with Toronto that nobody expected to do. I'm more confident in Philly winning the series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I think something that people might not be taking into account here is that Philly was just in a play-in, but we have to think about the record we had with Joel, 32-8 in the regular season with Joel Embiid playing. So this is not a 7-seed team when he is in the starting lineup. It's more like a 3-seed in my opinion. And could be 2 as well, So I don't think they're as good as the Celtics, but I think with Joel clicking at 100%, which again is the question that everyone's asking, I think this is one of the best teams in the East. So I'm taking them over the Knicks. And here's the thing. We saw it last night. Joel was gassed, right? His conditioning is definitely not caught up to where it was when he was in the full swing of things during the season. So my opinion when it comes to, and this is not uniquely my opinion, but something you can notice when you look at numbers, the Knicks run the slowest pace of basketball in the NBA, right? Yes. So what does that allow Joel to do? Not be running up and down the court, getting gassed by the end of the third quarter when we need him in the fourth. So I think this is more without Randall. I think our depth is better than the Knicks. I think talent overall, where Brunson, amazing. He's going to get his. I'm not really questioning that. But Tyrese is going to get his too, right? It's up in the air whether or not Josh Hart is going to produce anything on the scoreboard. He is good as a role player in other areas, but he doesn't fill up the scoreboard. DiVincenzo has on and off nights, but he's a good role player as well. But I don't think that they have as deep of play. Like Nicholas Batum just went off for 20 last night. He averaged 5 points a game during the season, something like that. He's a role player that when he was called upon, he was needed. He came, put up 6 threes, dropped 20 points, So I just think the depth of who can step up for us, I'm worried about Kyle Lowry on the defensive side. I didn't really like that trade. I've been vocal about that, getting rid of Pat Bev and then bringing in Kyle Lowry separately. I didn't really like those moves. That's really my only worry here besides keeping Joel healthy. But give me the Sixers here. 6 games max. I don't think it goes to 7 if Joel is playing at his fullest capability. But we saw last year, we dogged the Celtics in the first game and then just failed to show up in the last games and let them come back in that series as well. So nothing's set in stone, obviously. We were a healthy team then, and that didn't happen. So we'll see. But I'm comfortable with the Sixers here.
That game we played on Saturday at 6 o'clock. Like I said, the NBA playoffs does start on Saturday, and then some other games start on Sunday. This game will be on Sunday. This has been the talk. Milwaukee and Indiana. Here's been the talk. Giannis might be out halfway through the series. It's not good. Doc Rivers took over for Adrian Griffin after 43 games. Adrian Griffin was fired for whatever reason he was fired for. I mean, that was
like him.
Yeah, I know, but there's more to that too. Besides the whole Giannis thing,
yeah,
Damian Lillard could be a part of it as well. But I will tell you this: Tyrese Halliburton, I think he's a great player, but sometimes he's kind of consistent, inconsistent. So this is where the pick is a little tough. The Bucks, Chris Middleton ain't the same guy. Damian Lillard in this Doc Rivers offense, like, do they use him enough? Does he score enough? Like,
Damian Lillard, a few practices too. He's not 100% healthy.
Yeah, see, there you go. So Doc Rivers needs to let Damian Lillard free, like what he did in Portland. Like, just let him be Dame, the guy in the All-Star game that you see. You gotta let him free. I don't like this Bucks concept of the offense, and it's Doc Rivers. Nothing against Doc Rivers. He's a champion, but we've seen it. We've seen it with the Clippers. We've seen when he blew a 3-2 lead against his former team in the Celtics. Like they were up, and then the adjustments part just concerns me when it comes to the Bucks. Now, Indiana, they're a sleeper team. Indiana did make some noise in the stupid in-season tournament, like in the beginning of the season. They made some noise. I don't care about that. They made some noise. Give me Milwaukee if Giannis comes back by game 3. But if it's later in the series, depending on how bad his injury is, because he's already out the last 3 games of the regular season, give me Indiana. I mean, unless Chris Middleton just pops off. I mean, they got Patrick Beverley. I mean, unless he scores on offense and, be efficient. I know Patrick Beverley's a good defensive player, but I got to have 2 answers. Indiana, if Giannis is out for, until like game 6, if Giannis comes back earlier, just give me the Bucks. It's just too many inconsistencies with both teams. It's just tough to pick. It's tough to pick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm kind of on the same page with you there. I think if Giannis comes back by that deadline that you set, I'm probably sticking with the Bucks. Here's my thing with that. The Pacers score the most out of anybody in the NBA. They have the fastest offense. They shoot a lot of shots. They make a lot of shots. They have the most high-scoring offense in the league. The Bucks are like 3 spots behind them, though, when it comes to that. And then when you look at the defensive side, obviously the Bucks aren't defensive juggernauts. That's not what I'm saying. But the Pacers are like a bottom 3 team when it comes to how many points they allow, the percentage of the shots that they allow to go in. If Dame is 80%, because he is missing practices, who knows if that's conservation or if that's because he's nursing something right now. Who knows? But if he's 80 to 90% and Giannis is back by game 3, which is kind of like a big ask if you remember the way that he got hurt. Like, it's not like he had some big collision or something that led to him going down. It kind of looked a little scary to me. to where like maybe he's not back. And if he's not, then give me the Pacers. But if he comes back, then I'm rolling with the Bucks.
Final game of the East before we turn to the number 1 seeds of whoever we predict later on. Orlando and Cleveland, number 4 and number 5. Donovan Mitchell, great with Cleveland. Cleveland has made some noise. You know, they improved. Remember, Cleveland used to be so bad without LeBron James, and now they're making the playoffs now. Orlando was kind of the same way. They were kind of garbage. Now they're decent. I'm not going to say they're the best team in the East. What type of Cavs team are going to get? And the consistency of the Orlando Magic comes to my concern. I think the Orlando Magic, they might win a series. Give me the Magic in 6.
I was really on the fence with this one. I'm going with the Cavs, though. So when you look at the Cavs, they don't really do anything super well as a team, but they don't do anything super poorly, except for they allow their opponents to score at a very high clip from the 3-point line. So, like, they make me nervous in that regard. Lucky for them, though, the team that they're playing first is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league, and that would be the Orlando Magic. So that's what's kind of keeping me on the Cavs side, is just because, like, where they're both, like, just average teams when you look at it statistically. You can argue about whose roster you like better up and down. I think you can make arguments both sides, but Donovan Mitchell is easily the best player in this series. So, and then, you know, like, you've got Paolo on the other side too. But like I mentioned, one team can make threes, the other can't. And that is kind of the biggest deficiency for the Cavs, is allowing threes made. So unless the Magic have an uncharacteristic series where they shoot the three at like 38% as a team or something, I don't really think that this goes more than 6, but in favor of the Cavs.
All right, this is a match you're going to like on a Saturday. The rematch of the Western Conference Finals, the Denver Nuggets and the Lakers. They find a way. Playoff LeBron. Now, if I'm the Denver Nuggets, you swept them last year. There's a lot of talk. There's going to be some revenge going on. There's going to be some revenge. If the Nuggets, great team. I think the Nuggets have a chance to repeat in the West. Now, we're not saying the Lakers are going to probably win the series, but it'll be. I think it'll be more competitive than it was last year. Now, if Denver doesn't do his job and let this series get to Game 7, even though Game 7 the Nuggets are at home, you can't go a Game 7 against GOAT James. You can't do that. GOAT James is going to execute in Game 7. If you let this go to Game 7, the Lakers will win. If you take care of business, you may sweep them again, or you can beat them in 5. Give me Denver in 5.
So I'm a very big LeBron fan, right? But I'm going to be unbiased and realistic here. I also think the Nuggets are going to win this series. I think 5 or 6 games is probably the range. I wanted to find something that would make me like flip my pick to the Lakers. And the only thing you can really look at is like Bron is playing very well right now, as is AD. AD shut everybody up.
He played more than 65 games this year.
Yeah, he played like 72 or something, 76, something like that. Like
that's impressive.
That's what I'm saying. So like it's not the same Lakers is what I'm saying. And now there have been moves, and like Austin Reeves has gotten better. I think they've gotten rid of some role players who were basically just out there running cardio. I think everyone kind of contributes now. So it's different. So I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I still think like AD is great, but he's not a top 3 MVP candidate. And he did play like 75 games or whatever. So there's a reason to that. You know, Jokic is still a top 3 player in the game. If you don't think he's one of those other 2 top spots. So I love Bron. I'm not like a Lakers fan, but
also look at Denver's lineup.
Audio. Damn. Yeah, that happens sometimes. All right. Yeah, I love AD, but defensively and really the Nuggets as a whole.
No.
Good.
Okay. I was saying the Denver Nuggets lineup. Like at the lineup as far as like everybody's over at least 6'5". You got Aaron Gordon, you got Michael Porter Jr., you got Murray, you got Jokic, I think KCP in the starting lineup as well. I think I might be mistaken, but just the matchup of size. Lakers have size, but what type of AD are we gonna get? We know LeBron's gonna be LeBron, but what type of Anthony Davis are you gonna get? And also the role players of the Denver Nuggets are gonna play a factor. The Lakers, they can contribute role players, but I'm just more confident in Denver. They started off hot this season. The job's not finished. Obviously, the season's not over, but from when they won a championship, they've been very, very consistent, except blowing the last couple games for the number 1 seed. But I think this would humble Denver. So I'm going to take Denver in 5. But if Denver doesn't do his job like they did with blowing the number 1 seed, the Lakers going to win that Jordan 7. They're going to win that Jordan 7.
Yeah, one more thing. The Nuggets are healthy. They've been healthy. Literally, besides Murray, everyone else has played like 60-plus games. Jokic has played 79. Damn. Reggie Jackson, one of their bench players, he's played all 82. MPJ's played 81. Aaron Gordon, 73. Like, this is a team that has not really battled through injury this year. And I think that's going to come into their favor when it comes to the playoffs. I'm not saying that the Lakers have been overrun with injury either, but I think there's a clear difference in who the better team is. And if that better team is also coming in here fully healthy, there's not really much I can say unless Bron goes like 2016 mode and goes to work. But I don't know if they can go 2-on-5 when it comes to this series.
This is going to be an interesting series. The Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Suns. Now, Frank Vogel was hired as the coach. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal. Devin Booker was out of the lineup for a while. He's been hurt. Bradley Beal, he's been in, out. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a very scary team. They are a very scary team. They were the number 1 seed for half the season. Ant Edwards, this team. Cat is coming back. I know he missed like 2 months with a knee injury. He's coming back. They got Rudy Gobert, don't they, right? For the Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert. Man, I will tell you this. I'm going with Minnesota. Here's why. Phoenix, Frank Vogel was supposed to be a defensive coach, and I understand there's injuries involved, but this Phoenix Sun team is so inconsistent. They at one point, probably in March or in February, they were like not even in the top 8 of the playoff bracket. They were just very inconsistent. Now, you can say whatever you want to say about Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had to carry the team at some point in time. You see him drop 40 and they still lose. But I mean, does this game or this series affect Kevin Durant's legacy just from what it didn't work out in Brooklyn and now he's on, Phoenix and, he won titles at Golden State. He wanted to walk away, start up his own team. If Phoenix loses against a good team in Timberwolves, like I'm talking about, if you lose to them, that's cool. They're a great team. But just, is this about Phoenix or is this about Kevin Durant? I'm gonna take Minnesota in 5. We've seen the Phoenix Suns just get absolutely embarrassed. 2 years ago They got embarrassed by with the Nuggets, and then they got embarrassed by Dallas Mavericks. I mean, we just seen Phoenix get embarrassed, and firing the Detroit Nuggets, Detroit head coach who's with Detroit right now, Monty Williams. I mean, what's firing him going to do? They weren't any better now. Frank Vogel, I mean, defensive mind, but Frank Vogel, I don't think it's the same coach. Is he holding everybody accountable? I'm more confident of the Timberwolves winning the series. Is this about the Suns or is this about Kevin Durant?
So I'll start with who I think is going to win. I agree with you. I think the Timberwolves take care of this in probably 5 games. They're one of the best defenses in the league. No surprise there. 2 of their best players are centers. Now, like you said, Cat is coming back from an injury, so we'll have to gauge that like percentage-wise. But I don't really think it's a conversation when it comes to like who's a deeper team, who's got more production, 3 guys down on the bench. You know, like in the playoffs, no one's running a 9-man rotation. It's probably going to be 7 players or less. That's just how playoff basketball is. But when it comes to those 7 players that you can interchange, Phoenix can't step to Minnesota at all when it comes to that. So depth-wise, I think Minnesota is clearly the better team. And then being top-heavy, Devin Booker. Not Devin Booker. Yeah, Devin Booker. He's a really good player, but I don't know if he's really changing my mind on a playoff series. Kind of the same with Brad Beal at this point. He's like 32, 33, something like that. And then getting to KD. I don't think this changes his legacy. I think that's kind of cemented. He's a top 10 player of all time. You can argue where you want to put him in that conversation. I'm sure some people don't have him up there, but I think, as a scorer, he's one of the 5 of the best scorers this game has ever seen. So he's definitely top 10 all time to me. He's going to keep adding to his longevity stats as well in these next few years. So I think his legacy is kind of cemented. He's going to be one of the greatest players of all time, regardless of what he does for the rest of his career. Now, when it comes to like him elevating his all-time status, he can certainly do that. Like if he takes this team to a championship, sure, but it's not like that much of a different situation from what he had going on in Brooklyn. The difference is your teammates there don't hate you or like don't hate each other. Like it seemed Kyrie and James and Kevin, like they just, I'm sure hate is a strong word, but you know what I mean? Like there was this drama coming out of there at all times. So like that's different about Phoenix, but like him having his own team and being the guy, like you went to a team with an MVP and your old buddy and then Kyrie, like that wasn't really your team. And now you're here with Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. So I guess like you clearly are the better player, but I think he was in Brooklyn as well. So I don't really see it as that different of a situation. I guess he just wanted a little bit different from like when Steph was competing with that 1A, 1B spot. But even then, he's the one that won those finals MVPs. And there's a reason because he was the best player on that team. So I don't know what he's looking for anymore outside of what he's already done. So I don't think it impacts his legacy at all if they lose this. But I do think that they are going to lose. Anthony Edwards is different. It's a new era in the league, and he's one of the ambassadors of that. And I think they get a playoff win here.
I'll tell you this. Even with Kevin Durant's departure, you already said it was Steph Curry's team. They won a championship without Kevin Durant. So that basically proves your point. They won without Kevin Durant. So they really didn't need him.
Well, yeah, but you can also say they lost without him too. Like, clearly the better team in those series against the Cavs was, in every single year of it, was the Warriors. Regardless if KD was on that team or not, that was the better team.
Yes.
So to everyone's point at that time, and people still talk about it now, yeah, Kevin didn't need to go to that team for them to accomplish like what they were setting out to go do. But when he got there, he was the best player on that team. Now, it was Steph's team. Don't get me wrong. But Kev was the best player on that team. And then you go to Brooklyn, he's the best player there, but there's too much drama to even establish it's anyone's team. And then here in Phoenix, like, I guess, yeah, it is his team, but that's like I don't know, an inconsistent mess over there. So, like, I don't really know if anything is super different outside of the Golden State Warrior days.
All right, before we get to number 1 seeds, the final matchup that we have right now that is official is the Clippers and the Mavericks. Luka, Kyrie, the Kawhi Leonard situation. Oh, is he going to play game 1? Ty Lue said maybe we'll see. Kawhi Leonard may be out half the series. It's Kawhi Leonard. I mean, his knees are so old, he can't keep up. He's also on Team USA. We'll talk about that next and why he was the 12th and final guy. But, I mean, Coach Taylor, you sat up here on Totem Pole Sports and said the Dallas Mavericks are going to win a championship this year. You said the Dallas Mavericks are going to win a championship this year. You forgot that Denver's in the West. Minnesota could make some noise. I mean, you said the Dallas Mavericks are going to win a championship. Now, one, you may be wrong. They ain't winning no damn championship. But I will agree with you with this. The Dallas Mavericks are beating the Clippers. What type of Clippers team are we going to get? Because every time it comes to the playoffs, they're not healthy. Russell Westbrook had to carry that team. You know, they lost to the Suns last year. Russell Westbrook had to carry the team. I mean, you got called Paul George playoff P. You talk about the guy that shoots a three and it hits the side of the backboard? Playoff P? You mean playoff nowhere to be found? MIA, Paul George, nowhere to be found. How many times have we heard about this Clippers talented team? This team is talented. We got this. We got Kawhi. We got Paul George, Russell Westbrook, Terrence Mann. We got all these. We got the team, and they can't execute. They can't execute. Give me the Dallas Mavericks to win this. Luka, Kyrie. Oh, Luka and Kyrie. That's one of the top. Man, I'm telling you, Luka and Kyrie, one of the top duos in the NBA. I'm trying to tell you, how the Clippers gonna stop that? Now you can put Kawhi Leonard on Luka, whatever defensive matchup you want to, but Kawhi Leonard's knees just ain't gonna be able to handle it. What type of Paul George are we going to get? A consistent Paul George or an inconsistent Paul George? Russell Westbrook, are you going to start him or are you going to take him off the bench because of playoff experience? I mean, what it comes down to what the Clippers can do. The Dallas Mavericks have made the Western Conference Finals a couple years ago. The Clippers, all the talent they have, they're always getting bounced in the first round, always getting bounced in the second round, blowing a 3-1 lead. We've seen it all. I'm going for the Dallas Mavericks. I am not confident in the Clippers whether Kawhi Leonard plays or doesn't play. Give me the Dallas Mavericks in 7.
Yeah, that's my prediction as well. Mavs in 7. I think if you look on paper, the Clippers are a better team. The Mavs are definitely more top heavy with who, in my opinion, is the MVP this year. He's probably not going to win it, but Luka, I think, is the best player in basketball this year. And then Kyrie has had like a resurgence here. Obviously, when he's healthy and he's playing, he'll go out there and drop 40 in whatever team he's on. But I feel like there was an up and down with what people were expecting out of Kyrie, and he has completely shed that energy off of it. He's completely back to being Kyrie Irving. So to Kawhi's credit on the Clippers side, he played 68 games this year, and Paul George played 74. James Harden played 72, which is just like...
Oh, you talking about playoff choker when he did y'all last year?
Trust me, brother. I experienced it. You know, like I know. I've watched it happen, and it affect me personally. So it doesn't give me more confidence just because I know of Paul George's and James Harden's playoff reputations. But if Kawhi is healthy, I think up and down, the Clippers are a better team. So that's why I think it goes to 7. But it honestly would not shock me if the first 2 games of this series, Kawhi doesn't play. And it, on top of that, would not shock me that those are the 2 games that could swing it if the Mavs steal one at the Clippers. Like if they steal a game at the Clippers arena, the whole series is wide open. So I think it gets to 7, and I think the Mavs win.
Number 1 seeds. Let's say OKC plays the Sacramento Kings. Who wins that? I'm going to take the Sacramento Kings upset. Here's why. Yes, I'll take it Sacramento. Look, OKC, when was the last time OKC been in the playoffs? It's been a very long time since they've been into the playoffs. OKC, they got some guys. Chet Holmgren, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They still got Josh Giddey. They got some guys. All right? You got a young core guys. I get why they're number one seed for a reason. But it comes down to experience. They're the inexperienced team, the inexperienced number one seed, right? Sacramento, they went 7 games with Golden State last year. 7 games. Even though the seeds were different. Give me a young Sacramento team. De'Aaron Fox. Malik Monk was injured, but he should be back. I mean, the Kings got some valuable guys. You see what they did to Golden State? They got some valuable key guys. And if Keegan Murray starts shooting that 3 consistently, Sabonis, it was OKC versus the Kings. Give me the Kings for the upset in 5. In 5 games. In 5. Give me Sacramento for the upset.
Damn. All right. Well, I love it. I'm not taking it. I think the Thunder would take care of it. Now, look, Chet, you could argue technically, is he a rookie? Is he not? I think technically, like, he is. Same thing with the Ben Simmons thing that happened 6 years ago or whatever at this point. He had one of the best rookie seasons of all time. And I think it just got overshadowed because Wemby is obviously like the future face of the league very clearly. What's up, Coach Bald? And so it just got overshadowed there, and that's not his fault, but quietly he had one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen. So I think looking at what they can do in the post with him and how he stretches the floor, Sabonis is more of an interior player. That's like, yeah, he can stretch the floor as well. He's not just a back to the basket big man, but when you look at who's stretching the floor more, the Thunder definitely have a lineup that's way more spread out. And I think they've proven it that they can make the shots and stop on defense to earn that number one seed. So I hear you when you're talking about experience. But what experience did this Kings team really have except for like one run, which wasn't even really a run? There is some playoff experience on the Kings side, but I don't know if it overtakes the difference in how good each of these teams are.
And then if Boston plays the Heat,
Boston
Miami,
in 4.
And then what if they play the Bulls in 4-2?
4, yeah. I'd say 3 if it was possible. 4, both games. If Jimmy comes back, which I don't know the severity of his injury, but if the Heat win and Jimmy comes back, maybe 5. But
yeah, this is nothing to talk about there, but it's Boston's year. It's Boston's year. There's no excuses why we can't run through the East. There's no excuses. The only threat that I pose in the East is Philly when Embiid is healthy. If healthy. Now, I know Joel Embiid said himself that it's not a robbery because we beat their ass every year. That's just what he said out of his mouth. He said that in 2018 and going forward. But Philly, if Embiid is healthy, but I think Indiana might give us some problems. I think it's Indiana might give us some problems. Milwaukee,
yeah, but like you guys can just torch them on offense. You're gonna have to stop them on offense. But like you talked about with Tyrese, like he's great and he started this year on fire. But we definitely saw his consistency drop after that in-season tournament. He went on a slump after around the All-Star break. It's just like kind of like what you said with the Clippers, like which Pacers team are we going to get? Because if we get the type that's going to go out there and put up 130 points, then yeah, they can win any game. But their defense is going to allow you guys who have 2 of the most talented offensive players in the game, rank them wherever you want. But with Jalen and Jason Tatum. Now, you got to make sure that Jalen's left hand.
No, the left hand is better. It's better than it was last year. The left hand is.
I hope so.
It's in use.
Better be.
Well, we got Chris Stapps. We got Chris Stapps.
I understand. That's what I'm saying, though. That's what I'm saying. Like the depth, it's just not enough on. I think any team until you get to the Sixers, maybe, but even then, like there's going to be a mismatch on the court almost every time, or any rotation, I should say. There's probably going to be a mismatch just because you guys are. I mean, you're that good right now. So, yeah, I agree. There's really no excuses. I would love for the Sixers to kick y'all's ass, but realistically, I think if that was a series, I don't think that is going the Sixers' way. Maybe it takes 7 games, but I still don't think it goes the Sixers' way.
Well, this is a lot of NBA playoff preview. We'll be back for round 2, which will be probably another couple weeks, for round 2. But we recap we basically round 1 of the playoffs. The play-in, don't even watch it. Just watch the Kings and the Pelicans. That'd be more interesting than the Heat and Bulls. That's just 2 injury teams, and the Bulls suck. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Total Pole Nation. We're almost at 125K. We're at 122K. Thank you, Silas Sports Network, for the platform. Y'all have a great day. Please take care.